Uganda was moving very well in the 1960s. Then we had a man called Amin. I don't know whether you heard of him. He was a soldier, a British soldier, poor, no education. He came and took over the government. We decided to fight him. But in a very short time, he expelled our Asians. There were Asian people who had come from Asia and settled here, especially India, Pakistan.
Hello everybody, welcome once again to AfriPost. I believe wherever you're watching us from, you're doing great. Now in today's video, I want us to look at the question of Indian existence in Africa. You know, much of them have really been involved in development and growth of the economies within different African countries. Case in point is East Africa. You remember the building of railway in East Africa was done by Indians. Yes, the whites who are in Africa, the British who are in Africa, especially in the eastern part of Africa, took Indians from their country and brought them to Africa, where they participated in the building of railway lines. And these railway lines led to the opening up of different areas and creating markets and towns in different parts of the countries. Now, one example that I want us to look at is the question of Indians in Uganda. This has been revived by the fact that Ugandan President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, during the non-aligned members meeting in Uganda, he came up and totally apologized and said that chasing of Indians away from Uganda was a setback for the Ugandan economy and to the Ugandan people. I want us to watch this video where he was speaking in this event and he gave his account of what happened and why it wasn't necessary and why it was not supposed to happen. Kindly watch and then let's talk about it after the video.
The NAM countries also sometimes make mistakes. Like here in Uganda. Uganda was moving very well in the 1960s. Then we had a man called Amin. I don't know whether you heard of him. He was a soldier, a British soldier, poor, no education. He came and took over the government. We decided to fight him. But in a very short time, he expelled our Asians. There were Asian people who had come from Asia and settled here, especially India, Pakistan. This property here, this is a joint venture between the government and one of those people, one of our Indian origin people. Idi Amin expelled all this. And yet they were a very active investment group. They were in sugar, they were in hotels, they were in steel production. So here you had a leader of a NAM country undermining his own economy. So therefore, it is very crucial that we study very carefully the issue of the investment climate in our respective countries. When we kicked out all these people and we came into government, we brought back, we gave back the properties of our Asian citizens and non-citizens that Idi Amin had taken. We gave them back. We had a hot debate in Parliament. Some people saying this, some other. We said no, they must get back their properties. And they got their properties. And this one here is one of those people who came back as soon as he heard that we had given him. He came back he was in London. He came back here. And the other day I was asking our people, how many factories have been built by our Indian returnees? They told me 900 factories they had built since they came back. So this is one front line of struggle. The atmosphere for investors to produce goods and services. using the raw materials we have in our respective countries. Now, once you produce a good or a service, then the next challenge is who buys what you produce. Somebody must buy it, and buy it in big quantities so that you continue expanding. That's why there is the internal market. Like Uganda here, we are a population of 46 million people, so they buy. But the internal market of Uganda is not enough. That's why we need the regional market, integration in East Africa, in Africa, so that we deal with the issue of the market regionally and nationally. But internationally, since we are members of the same group of countries with similar interests, we should promote trade among ourselves. Because when I buy from you, I'm supporting your prosperity. And when you buy from me, you are supporting my prosperity. And we shall, I don't know how the Secretariat is organized of NAM and on the G77 to bring ideas of how we can promote and expand interstate trade among the NAM countries. We, the Africans, have been supporting, we, the Ugandans here, have been supporting the prosperity of others from our pockets by buying what they produce. You hear that I have been around for a long time. By 1962, when Uganda got independence, I was 18 years old, and I was already active as a youth, and I was following everything. At that time, we were buying British products because we were a British colony. We would buy British cars, Bedfords, Morris Minor, Austin. I remember those vehicles. Range Rover, only British vehicles, British-made vehicles. You'll find that ideas were coming, new ideas. Then people discover better ways of thinking. We started off with bullionism. There was a thinking in Europe that bullionism is the correct way of building wealth. That is gold, getting gold and silver. And some of the countries did that a lot, but they ended up being not developed. I don't want to mention individual countries. Therefore, after some time, it became clear that bullionism was not the source of wealth.
You know, as Africa, regardless of the fact that we do not really want our continent to be taken over by people from different parts of the world, we must accept that there is a way in which creating a diverse culture or even creating a diverse society helps in bringing the best out of the entire society. This is why the Indians in Uganda were really responsible for the growth of Uganda's economy. And by the time Amin Dada really chased them away, the economy received a dip. This is because most people who are really working towards industrializing the country left, and that is really negative in terms of economic growth of a country. So for me, I really support the question that Yoweri Kaguta Museveni is talking about. He is saying that Indians have really contributed positively to Uganda's economy. And as a Kenyan, I believe, and I tell you that when it comes to manufacturing, they have really dominated that sector in Kenya. The edible oil industry, Indians are the leading investors. If you look at the production of different food products, Asian community have really taken up that space, and they're really working towards building our economy. And that is why I'm saying that it is important for us to really accept and embrace each other, regardless of the fact that we might not be of the same descent. But this diversity can work towards building us and giving us a space whereby we are considered to be winners at the end of the day. Asians are a people who are really determined and are hardworking. You've never heard them engage in serious activities that are tarnishing, save for the cases whereby you find that most of them who are leading in businesses have engaged in corrupt activities like the Guptas of South Africa. But most of these Indians, they work tirelessly to really build themselves and create a better space for them. I don't know what you think about this, but please, if you're watching us for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and also share. Thank you, and may the good Lord bless you. Goodbye.